We are less than 45 days until the November 5th general election, but Michiganders do not have to wait until Election Day to cast their ballots. Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson joins us for our monthly catch-up here on First at 4 as we discuss Your Vote 2024. Thanks for joining us, Secretary.
Thanks for having me. Great to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you as well. We are 42 days away from the election, and even at this late date, Secretary Benson, states across the nation changing some of the rules. Now, for instance, in Georgia, the election board there has decided each county will have to hand count every ballot. Nebraska, also a push there. It's been shot down, but a push to change how its electoral votes are distributed. This is a two-part question. What do you make of these late election rule changes, and are there any changes that Michigan voters should be aware of?
Well, no. First off, there are no changes last minute that Michigan voters need to be concerned with. And I think we're not yet sure how the Georgia issue will ultimately play out. It will likely be challenged in court. But in Michigan, you have three options to vote. You can vote from home, you can vote early in person leading into Election Day, or you can vote on Election Day itself. So however you choose to vote, know that your vote will be secure and it will be just as you're accustomed to voting in our state.
And as we talk about voting absentee, there's also an issue in Mississippi this election cycle where they filed a lawsuit against absentee mail-in ballots. I know Michigan's ballots go out, 40 days before the election? So that's coming up, right?
Yes, Michigan's ballots are going out today or this week. You can actually go to michigan.gov/vote to request a ballot to be mailed to you. And that is available now. The ballots will start being distributed this week. And already 1.8 million Michigan citizens have signed up to have their ballots mailed to them. And then once you receive it, you can return it through the mail without having to pay for postage at a local drop box or at an early voting center in your community. So many ways, many options to return your ballot, all equally secure. And of course, now new this year, you've got early in-person voting in the week leading up to Election Day.
Yeah, and I was mentioning Mississippi and that lawsuit. The outcome of that, could that change anything in Michigan? It could have nationwide implications, but could it change anything in Michigan as it relates to the people who choose to exercise mailing in their ballots?
Not necessarily. In Michigan, our Constitution actually protects the ability for citizens to vote by mail or vote from home. And that is a right that every citizen in our state has. And you know, with all these lawsuits and changes, I think viewers can expect to see more of those in the months ahead in states around the country like Pennsylvania, maybe even Wisconsin. But in Michigan, we want everyone to have clarity and confidence that whatever option they choose to vote, whether they vote from home or early in person or on Election Day, that they can have faith their vote will count and the results of our elections will be accurate. And you can always go if you have questions or hear something or there's something that's uncertain. Michigan.gov/vote is your one-stop shop for all your needs around voting. We even have a frequently asked questions page, an FAQ page, where you'll see a lot of questions people have based on what's happening in other states answered on our website.
And you mentioned early in-person voting. This will be the first general election where all Michiganders can vote early and in person. When does that begin and when does it end?
October 26th is the official day statewide where wherever you live, you have the opportunity to go to an in-person early voting site and vote in person just as you would on Election Day itself. That means for 2 Saturdays and 2 Sundays and a full week in between, leading up to November 5th. People will be able to vote just as you would on November 5th itself. In fact, November 5th, that Tuesday in November, is now basically the last day to vote in our state. But those 9 days of early voting for everyone throughout our state can be a great opportunity for people to vote early in case you don't have time or don't see yourself having time on the traditional last day of voting, November 5th.
And lastly, Secretary Benson, you know, there's been a lot of discussions and questions about fair and free elections. What is your message to Michigan voters just over 40 days out from the election about our election process and the fact that they can trust the election process in Michigan?
Well, our elections are administered by over 1,500 local city and township clerks. These are your neighbors, your friends. These are people you worship with, or people your kids go to school with. All across the board, bipartisan, professional election officials who are committed to ensuring that every voice is heard and every valid vote and only valid votes count in every election. Leading into the election this fall, you can actually go and see your local clerk test publicly the voting machine, so you can see their test for accuracy in a transparent way, and a number of other things that we do to ensure that the public has access to all the information you need to reinforce the integrity of our elections. You can again go to michigan.gov/vote as well. If you have questions, you'll see many of them answered there, but your local clerks can be that source as well for trusted information if you have questions.
Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, we really appreciate your time here monthly that you give us here on First at 4. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. See you next month.
Yes, have a great day.